Well, first of all, let's try to put it this way. We would always like to be in a position where we have our teams ready to do any kind of work that we are dealing on a daily basis. So we would always like to have a cross-functional, self-organizing, self-managing, empowered teams, and so on and so forth. But this is not always the case. And in 95% of cases, we just need to kind of be involved in the process of getting our teams from first forming stage to the last stage that is performing. Welcome everybody. I do believe that you are not so tired because it's almost the end of a BA day. Today I will try to kind of dig a bit deeper into the Agile retrospectives and basically what we are trying to do there. For the third time today, I believe. My name is Vedran Nikolic. I come from the Authority Partners. I work there as a Scrum Master and a project manager. In some cases as a product owner, a proxy, and that kind of stuff. A little bit about our sponsors. So let's hit the road. Introduction. Well, how many of you are familiar with the retrospectives? How many of you are doing it on your daily work? I mean, at the end of every sprint. Oh, nice. Okay. A lot of definitions and everything on the retrospectives, but basically the idea is to, whenever we do some chunk of work, it really doesn't matter if we are using the Agile methodologies or any other, it really doesn't matter. Only thing that matters is that basically after any chunk of work, we were just going to stop and turn up a little bit and try to see how we as a team, because in Agile everything is a whole team, basically participation of the entire team, how we manage to do certain kind of things in our sprint or iteration. It really doesn't matter what you are using. Scrum is more, sprint is more like Scrum, and the iteration is frequently used in the extreme programming. So what benefits we have out of those retrospectives? We can watch every sprint as a basically small project. Something where we do that, as a lean would like to say, plan, do, check, act. Those four things. So we plan something, we build something, we check something, most probably on the sprint review meeting. And then after that, when we get a feedback from that sprint review, we are going to say, okay, this is the feedback that we have, this is the things that we do good, we'll keep up doing that, and those are the things that we are not. So we need to do something. We need to kind of improve the way how we do stuff. So the process of retrospective is the heart of a Scrum, is the heart of extreme programming, and what I particularly like, lean software development, it is the continuous improvement, or Kaizen. You will see a lot of Japanese words in Agile. That's because basically whole Agile is developed on lean. So you will see words like Kaizen or Shuhari when we are talking about team creation and stuff like that. What benefits do we get out of a retrospective? There are some of them. They say it's productivity, capability, quality, capacity, and that kind of stuff. Those are things that are more related to the development process that we are doing. But sometimes we need to put a little bit more stress on our teams and the people and the relationship among our team members. And that can be sometimes very tough for us as Agile coaches, Scrum Masters, project managers, whatever you want to call it. The most important thing in those retrospectives is basically that they are always made for the team and by the team. So the whole team is there, and all decisions we make is basically just by us. No other factors. Especially, I come from a very big company. We do have a lot of processes, rules, and everything. Sometimes I hate it, but okay, that's process we need to do as it says. But those retrospectives are kind of those small things and small decisions that we are making on the retrospectives. We are kind of owners of it. We own everything we own every decision that we made there. It's ours. And sometimes Agile like to say it's a kind of a buy-in. So whenever you engage your team in making decisions, and if they first suggest a decision, and after that they will try to implement that decision, they will own it. That will be theirs. And it's very, very good. Okay? So this is basically how the retrospective goes. So after each increment, after our planning, developing, reviewing, we will do something that is called retrospective, or basically if you want to call it apples, that doesn't matter. It's really what matters is what we are going to do there and what are going to be our benefits. So every retrospective should have, or I would say must have, 5 steps. Those 5 steps are: set the stage, gather data, generate insights, decide what to do, and close the retrospective or retrospective of a retrospective. And this goes like, okay, we do our sprints, we do our sprint review, we get a feedback, we do a retrospective, we define some action item things that we have to do in our next sprint, and it just goes like that. We'll just briefly gonna touch point of every stage. All right, set the stage. Why do we need it? And believe me, sometimes it's very hard to do, especially if you have a brand new team. If you just started the project and your CTO comes to you, okay, you as a project manager, this is your team, you're going to do a new project, please define your team, you want to do Scrum, that's fine. Okay, so everybody in that team are new and they do not know each other. Maybe not, but you will see. And also in some cases when we frequently in Agile say that we basically never reach the point of performing teams. Whenever you reach the performing stage, something gets changed. You lose one team member. You are automatically going back to the previous stage when you need to learn a bit more to come to that final point. First of all, so to set the stage, we need to set the goal. We need to tell people what we are going to do in that session. Dennis today had some similar thoughts about meetings. Basically, it's the same. So we need to have a goal. We need to tell, okay, guys, we are going to, since everything in Scrum, if you like, everything is time boxed. So our retrospective is going to last for, let's say, I don't know, 2 hours, 1 hour, 15 minutes, it doesn't matter. you need to tell the people why they are here and why you are going to burn 30 minutes of their lives, if you like. So after that, we need an agenda. So without it, we need to know what we want to accomplish on that session. Couple of things that might help us in setting those stuff are team values and working agreements. So we need to kind of agree on what, how we are going to do some things. Team values, for example, I just took the example of the teams that are doing the extreme programming. They like to, or they have their values, and those are simplicity, courage, feedback, respect, and that kind of stuff. So on one retrospective, one team member asked his XP coach. The XP coach is very similar to the Scrum Master in Scrum. He asked, okay, now I need to make some decisions about some things that we did, let's say, wrong in the last iteration. Okay, how can my team values help me to make that decision? His XP coach told him, okay, use the simplicity. Give me the most simple solution that might possibly work for you to solve the problem. So those kind, I mean, you can set the values whatever you like. So anything that you think might work for your teams, it's totally fine, go for it. Working agreements also, you can set them as you like. There are a couple of them, especially especially the last one. I really like that because I really like lean and I hate waste, and lean also hates waste. Try to eliminate it as much as possible. Incomplete stories are not good. So one of 7 wastes of lean is work started but not finished. So example, you are at the 8th day of your sprint and you have 7 users. On the beginning of a sprint, you committed to a product owner that you are going to complete 10 user stories, 10 product backlog items, 10 whatever you want to call it, cases, it really doesn't matter. You completed 7, you have 2 in progress, and you have the last one is not done. And what do? Instead of putting all your knowledge, everything that you have at this point to complete those 2 that are in progress, you start to work on the last one, and after the time box of a sprint planning of the sprint expires, you have 7 completed and 3 not completed. That's waste. There are some particular cases when the team can negotiate with the product owner on those. Okay, we have 7. We are not able to complete those 3 due to these and these reasons. Blah blah blah. But it's waste. You haven't completed what you originally planned. You need to take those 3, return them back on the product backlog item, on the product backlog item, check what's done, what's not. You need to do new size for those user stories, and etc. Waste. Also meetings. So we are going to come on our meetings on time. Mobile phones silent. Very, very, very common. Respect, we are going to respect each other, and so on and so on. Again, I'm saying you can define whatever you like. Those are just examples. Every stage in the retrospective, they have, that's called in Agile, collaboration games. So everything is teamwork, we are collaborating, we are doing things together. So this is a really team sport. So some of those, at the end of the presentation, I'm going to share a source when you can find a lot of collaboration games. So every retrospective that you do would have a different collaboration games for those 5 stages. Some of them that I pulled out are check-in. Basically, you do a very brief check-in. Every participant is going to say what he feels about last retrospective. Someone is going to be, I don't know, happy, someone is going to be sad, believe me, and so on. So basically, up to 5 seconds, very brief check-in for all the participants. Also, you need to, you as a host, you need to kind of establish environment when everyone wants to speak. If you have at least one member that decides to be silent at the beginning, he will remain that till the end of a session. That's just how it goes. So, brief check-in. Focus off. Again, you're going just to use a board, just going to have two parts. On the right part, we are going to put the things that we don't want to focus. So we kind of don't want, because remember again, it's time boxed. If we say it's 60 minutes, when 60 minutes are up, it's done. It doesn't matter if we are not finished. It's done. So we want to focus on this. We don't want to focus on that. So please, let's not try to start any discussion that is on the right side. Let's please be on the left side. ESVP, that's something it might be very good, especially if you have those new teams. It's explorers, shoppers, vocationers, prisoners. 4, let's say, clusters that our team might belong to. So you are going to just give them you saw on those previous presentation a lot of sticky notes. We do use it a lot in Agile. You're just going to pass them the sticky notes, and you will say, okay, you will tell them, okay, explorer is a guy who wants to do everything. He's very into the retrospective. He wants to try everything. He wants to work as a team. He wants to basically do anything that takes to help his team to do a better job. Shoppers, again, good cluster of people, but sometimes they might want to solve their own problems instead of concentrating on resolving team problems. Vocationers, prisoners, oh, believe me, you don't want to have those kind of people, but sometimes you will. Vocationers are just those that are there just to kind of kill 2 hours or 1 hour. They will just sit there, look through the window, but they won't participate. The last one are prisoners. They just want you to let them out. Okay, please, I don't like this. I don't believe that the retrospective is going to solve any problem that I have. Please let me out. That's fine. You as an Agile coach or wherever you are, Scrum Master, it doesn't matter, you would need to focus on those 2 last groups if you find such people in your teams. It doesn't necessarily need to be on the retrospective, but after that, when you start a new sprint, when you start working on something else, you will kind of have some individual one-on-one meetings with them. Just try to kind of explain what we are trying to do here, how they are going to get benefits out of it, or wherever that is going to make their lives easier. You might success, you might fail, but again, it's not always very good. Set the stage. I mean, that's it. We are going to the next stage, gather data. Okay, we have, everybody are happy, everybody want to speak, we have an excellent team. Now, we want to see what happened. We want to gather some data, some inputs. It just creates a shared picture what happened in the last, I don't know, 1 week to 4 weeks. We cannot have more than 4 weeks of a sprint. That's basically, okay, set the stage is the opening phase. Gather data, decide what to do, and generate insight are problem-solving stages. And the last, the retrospective of the retrospective, is the closing stage. That's it. Okay, so our problem-solving process begins here by collecting data on the things that happened in the last sprint. Our inputs, it can be anything. Anything that team finds significant for them that they remember from the last 10 days, let's say, if you are doing 2-week sprints. So whenever they, whatever they found good, whatever they mean it meant something for them, it can be a good input. Inputs can be meetings, demos to client. If he had some demo inside the sprint, okay, client called us, he wants to have a demo today, we want to show something to them. It can be an event that had something, just produced some feedback. So it's very good to put into the retrospective so we can talk about it. Metrics, whatever you have, metrics, burn down charts, burn up charts, velocity charts, bug trend line charts if you have those, or anything that is kind of measuring something. Velocity charts, of course, and so on. Also stories that are completed, stories that are based, that are not completed, and so on. Couple of collaboration games that might help the team to gather data, because believe me, it's only 10 days, but you really can forget about some things. Always. You are concentrated on your work, you are doing your work. You really cannot remember of anything. But okay, if I don't remember, maybe you will. So let's see how that works. Timeline. It's most frequently used collaboration game to gather data. Basically, we would just get sticky notes. Let's say we will divide them in three colors. The red color might be some technical stuff. The green color might represent some communication stuff, and so on and so on. You basically can decide whatever it is on those colors. Team would take those sticky notes, write something that they believe it was significant event in the retrospect. They'll put it on a timeline. This timeline represents 10 days of our sprint. Also, there is also one more collaboration game that we are using when creating a timeline. It's called Mad, Sad, Glad. So we are using this dot voting. Basically, we just put those dots on the things that we believe that made us to be mad, sad, or glad. Whole team participates, we put those stuff on the timeline, and then this will be a very good input on what we are going to be analyzing when we start the next stage. Also, there is a triple nickels again. It's called triple nickels. You will just get, so every team member gets a sticky note, and it writes 5 significant things that he believes happened in the last sprint. Then he's going to take that sticky note and to pass to his teammate. Then his teammate is going to write his 5 responses to those 5 stuff that this guy wrote. And that is how it begins. So everybody will get a chance to write their own things and to comment the things of their teammate. All right. Generate insight. Okay, we have everything on a timeline. Now what to do? We need to generate some thoughts. What we as a team think that happened. So basically what it brings us, it kind of just helps us to understand what's going on. Most frequently used collaboration game is a brainstorming. So we as a team, we're just going to sit, we're just to brainstorm, going to put our inputs on the things that we gathered on the timeline. Also, Five Eyes and the Fishbone analysis, you will just see it. You can write wherever this is just a sample of a Fishbone analysis. The most important thing is that on the right side, the Fishbone, the head is a problem. And the left side are causes. What actually caused that problem? And with this, we are using Five Eyes. So we are asking why 5 times. Why? To get to the root cause, or to try to get to the root cause. It doesn't matter. But let's see how it goes. Okay, let's say that our problem was bug on the UAT. We want to try to find the root cause of that bug. Okay, we had a bug on the UAT. Why? Our testing was not good. Okay, why we are not testing our software good? Or our user story? Why it's not tested? Why? We haven't specified exact acceptance criteria. Okay, why we didn't make such a good acceptance criteria? We haven't managed to understand what our product owner. We didn't know quite well what he's asking us to do in that particular user story. Okay, why? The product owner was not on the sprint planning, or he was just for the first 30 minutes and then he left. Why? And that could be, that might be the root cause. Okay, product owner was not on the sprint planning. He needs to be there because he's our source of the requirements. We don't know what we need to build before we talk to this guy. So he was not on the sprint planning. That might be very good action item for your Scrum Master to go and talk to the product owner and tell him, okay, we didn't manage to do what we originally planned on this sprint because product owner was not there. Please try to come on the next session. We need you. So all those things up, those boxes are basically those first problems, and then when we ask why 5 times, we're going to basically come to the root cause. And the root cause might be somewhere here, let's say. Okay, let's go next. Now, everything is here. We have brainstormed. We know everything. Now we need to decide what we're going to do. Where we want to be in the next sprint. What to do? Basically, last problem-solving step. This is where we defined the most important things that needs to be tackled down the road in the next sprint. We decide action items. We assign some work to the developers or to our team. Who is going to do this? Okay, you're going to do this on this. You will help your team member on this, and so on, and so on, and so on. Basically, just deciding what to do. Couple of things there you will have as far as the collaboration games or activities related to that. You will have things like, okay, keep doing, stop doing, do more of, do less of, don't do anything on that. This cannot, this is very, very bad. Stop immediately. Please stop doing that. And continue some good things that we believe that are helping us towards reaching our goal, our sprint goal. SMART goals. specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Try to have those goals. Please don't define things that you know you cannot complete. Try to not do it. So specific, okay, they need to be specific for something. We need to have measurable stuff. I personally don't like to measure everything, but some things you really can measure. Okay, we want to measure how many bugs we have. And based on that measure, we want to decide, okay, now we are working at the 80% of quality, which is perfectly fine, believe me. But okay, we want to make 85. Okay, we are going to have some measures that will give us some feedback if we are reaching that 85% of quality. And the circle of questions we are asking all participants, okay, what do you think we need to do? What do you think we need to do? And so on and so on. The last step and the closing one, sometimes they say it's, okay, we don't need the closing step. We have decided on everything. Not really. You will have to, sometimes you will have to remember team members what they are expected to do in the next sprint. Or we can basically kind of just summarize what we went through, what problems we are facing, and what we want to do in order to get things a bit better. Activities plus delta, so we just kind of put things on the board and just say, okay, we have concluded this and this, we will try to do that and not try to do this anymore, that kind of stuff. And the one that I like a lot is ROTI, return on time invested. So we want to know if that 60 minutes of our time really helped us to solve a problem. How to get this feedback. Okay, you will just put a scale from 1 to 3, and you will say, okay, 1 is bad, we didn't do anything. Number 2 is, okay, it's somewhere in between. It's not good, it's not bad, okay. And the number 3, it's very good. We have decided a lot of good things. We just want to proceed, and this is very, very good for us. Good time spent. Appreciations, you want to just kind of say thank you to everybody because they spend their time, they was there, they do something. Well, that basically we spend our time good. We didn't waste it, waste free. So those are kind of those 5 stages. Please don't try to avoid any of the stage. Just try to go one by one. Your team members doesn't need to know that you are, okay, now we are doing the 3rd step. They don't need to know that. You will just kind of, as you go, you will just go from one stage to another without letting your teammates knowing that, okay, now we are going to close the session. No, you're just going to do some activities that you normally doing that you are normally doing with the close the retrospective stage, and that will be it. Also, there are some self-assessment models and questionnaires that might give us some feedback if we are doing something good or bad. There is one sample of Jean Tabaka is a lady who is an Agile coach and Agile leader, and something that she has posted. So basically, we want to achieve self-organization. We want to do things on our own, self-organizing. So give us the requirement and then let us work. We, as a self-organizing team, are going to solve any problem that we are faced with. But in order to do that, we need a lot of learning. We believe that we need a lot of retrospectives. also empowered to make decisions. Those were just that I was talking at the beginning. We want to do small local decisions. We don't need our top management or our project manager or our PMO office to tell us what we are going to do. We want to be able to make decisions in our sprint, because sprint is ours. We own it. Everything that is in sprint, that's ours, and just ours. Belief in vision and success as a team, we want to have a shared picture of our project vision. We want to know a little bit outside of our sprint. We want to see a big picture of that vision, what that project is going to bring to us or to our clients. Committed teams, of course, we want to be as a team, we want to be committed to our goals. Trust each other, basically self-explanatory. Participatory decision-making, consensus-driven. And the last one, this is something that Agile is always trying to force us to do in our teams, to always have constructive disagreement. What does it mean? Constructive disagreement. It doesn't mean that we are always going that we will try to put fingers at each other. Okay, you are not right. This is right. You don't know anything. I know everything about it. That's not true. Always constructive. So try to keep continuous. This constructive disagreement means simply that we are not afraid of asking questions. We know something. We know a lot, and we need to try to constantly communicating, because when we are communicating, we are automatically generating a lot of new things, a lot of new ideas, and that's very good. Okay, why should I always listen to you? Why shouldn't we all listen to that guy? He also has a lot of good things to say. Why don't we hear something from him? Okay, I wanted to, they always ask me, okay, how long a retrospective lasts? Because it's not defined, there is not a rule. Okay, retrospective needs to, there are some defined by Scrum, okay, for one month sprint, it's, I don't know, 3 hours of retrospective. It doesn't necessarily have to be like that. You can have retrospectives of 15 minutes. If you can solve all your problems in that 15 minutes, it's perfectly fine. If you can decide on anything, 15 minutes, cool, let's do it. This is just some samples of, let's say, 2-hour sessions. So what do we think that every stage should take us, and so on. I don't like those rules. It really, you cannot tell me that I'm going to decide what to do 20 minutes. Okay, I'm just not going to do that. Whatever you do, and whatever duration you decide to choose, please try to have a couple of things on your minds. The complexity of the problem you're faced with, the number of your team members. If you have a team of 3 members and a team of 12 members, you would need to spend some more time because you have 12 people to talk to. Those are just a couple of things that are really important when you are trying to decide on a duration of a time box. Couple of other things to mention is that really it doesn't matter if you are using Agile on any other methodologies. You can always, after some period of time, please try to make it a bit lower. stop and talk to your team to see how they saw that piece of work. I mean, that iteration, I would call it like that right now. Iteration. Talk to them and try to get their inputs, because believe me, everything is on them. If you don't have a team, you can have a very good project manager, you can have excellent processes, you can have great rules, but if you don't have a team, if you don't work with your team, if you don't invest in your team, you won't have anything. Please try to concentrate on those 4 stages of team creation. So forming, norming, storming, performing. We always try to reach that performing stage. That's where we are the best. But you really need to spend a lot of time, because we cannot have very good teams from the very beginning. That's impossible. I believe that I have reached my time box, so it was set to 45 minutes. This is the end. Do you have any questions about this?
You have mentioned that you work as a project manager.
Yep.
Have I heard it well? Have I heard well that you have worked as a project manager?
Yes, okay. Yes, I'm working with it right now.
I just wanted to ask, how do you deal with your mistakes in the project? Let's say your team is working hard.
Okay.
They are working an excellent job.
Yep.
You didn't plan the risk well. Somebody gets sick and nothing can be done. What do you do then? How do you explain that to them?
To whom?
To your team in the retrospect.
At the retrospect.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to first do some kind of risk analysis. We know what our goals are at the beginning of the sprint. So, I have you in my team. On the 5th day of a sprint, you just called, you are sick. So, I just have, I immediately know that I'm potentially behind the schedule. So I need to communicate it to whoever is my, I don't know, product owner, stakeholder, whoever is expecting to hear some report from me as a whatever, a project manager. So I need to do it immediately instead of sometimes some people are trying to, okay, you are not today in your team, you won't do your job. Okay, we will do some extra time and we will put some, we will take some overtime from other team members to try to reach that goal. Sometimes it happens. Let's be honest to each other. We always need to meet the goals. And sometimes it can, okay, we did some overtime. That's perfectly fine. But the Agile, principles behind Agile Manifesto, if we want to do Agile, we need to know those principles, is kind of teaching us that we always want to have a sustainable development. We always want to have a developer who wants to come tomorrow on a work. Because what we need to do, we need to support that and not kind of putting some, I would call it killer loops around our necks, because we want to, I don't know, we don't need to necessarily always be on time. Okay, you are not today. I'll talk to my product owner. I'll just explain the situation. And this is something that is very frequently happening with my teams. You just cannot predict that kind of things. Did I answer your question well? If not, please tell me. That's correct. That's correct. It's always better to tell whoever your client today instead of waiting the 9th day of a sprint to tell him, okay, I'm not going to deliver this to you.
Maybe they will be angry.
Maybe they will be angry, but it's better to have them I'm angry now than later. It's always better to do things now than to leave it later. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, guys, thank you very much.
Сачка.